Hello and welcome to our continuing review of Firefly. I'm Paul,
And I'm Dave.
and this week we're talking about the episode Shindig, which is a great title for an episode.
Very much so.
So, let's start off at the start. This episode originally aired November 1st, 2002. Now, you might say, but Paul, the last episode aired at the end of September, and you would be right. This episode was shown out of order.
Yeah, yeah.
It was watched by 4.28 million people,
Hmm.
which is like 1.5 million less than the last episode we talked about.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, things aren't going in the right direction here. All right, Dave. So, any guesses on who the WWF champion at the time would have been? November
Most that's
1st,
coming to my
2002.
mind is a Bruce, but I'm not exactly sure of the full name.
I don't know why it's funny to me, but you'll always think his name is Bruce. It's Brock Lesnar.
I'm not exactly sure why. It's super close to that, but it never comes to that particular bit.
That's very funny.
Hmm.
Number one movie in America this week. Any guesses?
Hmm.
I'll give you a
That
hint.
one
It's a Christmas movie.
Christmas movie in November.
November
They
1st,
do
too.
next. What will they bloody well do next? um. Hmm. Big popular Christmas movie. The only one particular one that I could think of around that time frame would be a Santa Claus movie.
It's
Supposedly the first one, but mm,
So the first one is too early. It is the Santa Claus 2,
oh, okay.
which I think is the
Well,
Mrs. Claus. I think.
yeah, that would probably be it. For some reason, just I'm not exactly sure how to feel about that. Just it works, but yet just cringe from the pun. Cringe from the pun.
Uh, I'm just gonna go out there and say the Santa Claus movies aren't very good.
Eh, they're holiday movies.
Yeah, they're not very good ones though. Anyway, number one song in America this week. Any guesses?
Song wise.
November of
Mm,
2002. What were all the hip
nah,
kids listening to? So we will
yeah,
have.
I've got nothing for that.
Uh,
Unless it wasn't a change from last week.
has not changed. It is still "Dilemma" by Nelly featuring Nelly Rowland. Again, I have no idea what that song is.
Datos.
Alrighty. So for this episode, the crew lands on Persephone. In her shuttle quarters, Inara scans potential clients and chooses the local aristocrat Arthurton Wing, a regular customer. Mal and Jane are accosted by Badger, who's back, yes, who needs Mal's help to move an illegal cargo for high society local Warwick Harrow, who will not talk to the likes of Badger. Meanwhile, he provides Mal and Kaylee with tickets to the very ball that Inara will be attending. At the ball, Atherton asks Inara to be his personal companion, remaining in a world more suited to her, but she diplomatically defers the decision. Suddenly, the arrival of um, Miss Kaywinet Lee Fry and escort is announced. Kaylee, in a ruffled dress that she had earlier coveted in a shop window, accompanied by Mal. Back on
Mm.
Serenity, Simon, Book, and Jane play a card game using ship chores as currency, and I want that card game. It looks really interesting.
Just with the card set of things, or just with what they were playing?
It looks like it's some kind of like version of poker, kind of, but they have
Mm.
these really cool like circular cards with like pictures and stuff on. I want a set.
I'm guessing either with the high or other sorts of things from what I could gather from the game they were playing. Eh, it would be interesting.
River is experiencing another of her manic outbursts, frantically shreds the Blue Sun labels of their canned food supplies. Meanwhile, Zoe and Wash have sex and have a very funny conversation that we will talk about later. At the ball,
Right.
Kaylee's friendly attempt to mix with the debutantes fails, but she is rescued by an older gentleman, then drawn to a group of several mechanically minded men. Meanwhile, Mal finds Sir Warwick, who is cool to any proposal that Badger is behind, despite Mal's professionalism. Just then, Atherton Wang, with Inaria in tow, interrupts their conversation. Mal escorts Inaria to the dance floor, but when Atherton cuts in and insists on his right to take Inaria away because money changed hands, Mal punches him in the face, unknowingly making a challenge that commits him to a duel by sword against the expert swordsman Atherton. Sir Warwick agrees to be his second. On Serenity, Badger arrives uninvited to explain to the remaining crew that Mal will be participating in a duel. As the crew discusses how to rescue him, Badger disabuses them of this idea. He is here with his men to sit on them until the duel is finished. As Mal ineptly practices for his duel, Inario sneaks into his room to talk. She is confused by Mal's decision to punch Atherton because he insulted her, when Mal often does this himself, which is true. Mal reports that he merely insults her profession, whereas Wing insulted her, which I don't know if I necessarily buy that. In the meantime, the crew of Serenity sits in the cargo hold attempting to plot an escape from the watchful eyes of Badger and his cronies. Jane comes up with an idea that they need a diversion and offers to get naked to provide one. River appears and in a display of her as yet unrevealed talents converses with Badger in his own accent, mentioning his heretofore unknown past. River departs, leaving a confounded but amused Badger. Jane realizes that River's distraction of Badger is exactly what the crew could have used. In the duel, Atherton wounds Mal several times through tricky swordplay, and when he has Mal at his mercy, turns out a plea from Inaria, who offers to stay with him if he will spare Mal's life. Mal uses his distraction to disarm the swordsman, delivering a punch to the face and throw his own broken sword blade at him, stabbing him in the shoulder. Mal stands over the wounded Wing, wielding Wing's own sword, and Sir Warwick demands that he deliver the final blow, lest Atherton be humiliated. Mal, however, shows mercy after getting in 2 more stabs. As Inaria helps Mal off the field, Atherton calls out viciously to Inaria and threatens to ruin her. Inaria responds by informing him that he is now persona non grata in the companion registry, implicitly ruining him. Entertained by Mal's trouncing of the conceited Wing and impressed by his tenacity, Sir Warwick agrees to send his cargo with Mal. The as yet unbegan escape plan plotted by the Serenity crew is aborted by the return of Inaria and Mal, who chases a pleased Badger off his ship. Inaria and Mal share a moment by the cargo bay landing, watching over their cargo from Harrow, a bay full of cattle. Oh, there were cows. I was very happy. I was very happy there were cows, and cows are good.
No, cows are indeed good.
So what did you think of this episode, Dave?
It was a nice playful romp of the little adventure that they went on with this. Bit of exploration into the bit of character with just about everyone, as well as with showing a little bit more of River, kind of her having a little bit of interaction. It was definitely interesting.
Yeah, she definitely gets some more to do in this episode. I love the scene where like Kaylee's at the ball and like all these women are like, "Who the hell are you?" And then all these guys who are like mechanically minded are like, "Oh, we must talk to you." And then she basically tells them all that their products are shit, and it's very good.
Yeah, just shit talking all the particular things.
It's very good, and I'm like, that. Well, you need more of that. That was very good. You have anything else about this episode? I mean, it's a good episode, but there's not a whole lot that really happens. Other than Mal gets in a duel, which is pretty good, but...
At very most, it was just a bit of character building, sort of showing little basis of things. It wasn't too much within the entire story of stuff that was going on, but just for what it is, nice. I suppose just like the party, nice little event to kind of get away from some other particular things that happen.
Yeah, it's It's definitely not a bad episode, but it's not a great one either. It's like it's fine. I would totally watch it again, but at the same time, I wouldn't. It wouldn't be at the top of my list from the ones we've seen so
Hmm.
far.
Would you categorize it as filler, or would it have enough to kind of count as something to at least be there to keep within the story?
I would say the episode's like 90% filler. We do get that
Mm,
stuff with River, which is gonna, which obviously they're building to something there, but everything else
mm,
is kind of just not super important.
mm,
If it's filler, it's good filler. It's just it's not the most important episode.
mm. Yeah, I can somewhat agree with that.
Fair enough. Alrighty, so the next episode we'll be talking about is called Safe. It's basically going to pick up right where this one ends. They're going to deliver the cattle.
There you go. Hopefully, a decent delivery in
Oh,
comparison to other times.
one other thing. A group of people are going to attempt to burn River at the stake because she's a witch.
On the one hand, on the one hand, wait, what? But then I also need to remember, right, this is a space western, so that's most likely in here.
Yep, there's gonna be it's gonna be a thing. That's gonna happen. Anyway, until next
Hmm.
time, I'm Paul.
And I'm Dave.